Hello, Vikings fans. Welcome back to another episode of All Eyes North. In this video, it will be dedicated to the beginning of free agency for the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll be covering moves that they have made, including releasings, signings, and potential trades. So, hope you guys do enjoy this, and let's get to the intro.
For 3-on-2. Portis to Marshall. He scores! Throws. Caught. Jefferson. Touchdown, Minnesota.
The Vikings started this offseason by releasing old aging players like Adam Thielen, Eric Kendricks, who have all been part of this team for a very long time, and it really hurt to see them go, but it was what had to be done, as they were aging people. They weren't top of their game anymore. We really need to get rid of them, and Kwesi bit the bullet and got rid of these stars that have been big Minnesota names for a long time. And I think we can see more of that coming in the future. And sadly, it's the truth. They can't play forever, and Hitman Harry might be gone pretty soon. But we started off season on a sad note. Then Bud Grant died. It was a horrible week for longtime Vikings fans, and Vikings fans in general. But then they made the move. Let Patrick Peterson and Dalvin Tomlinson walk. They brought in Marcus Davenport, tight end Josh Oliver. Brian tight end, blocking tight end. Then they signed Byron Murphy, and that was a real win. But Vikings fans are getting, understandably, kind of upset that we're not making any big moves. Like the Lions have bring in some big names, and especially the Bears. But you guys got to realize, like, we're not the GM, so we don't know what's going on in that front office, and we don't know what Kwesi is planning to do. And so I feel like that's the best thing to not jump to conclusions right now. And I really think Kwesi is building the best team for us. They went 13-4 with a team that was not their style. Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi, that was not their team. That was the prior organization's team. And by releasing players that didn't fit their new scheme and releasing players from the 31st ranked defense last year, I think it's really going to improve. Getting rid of some of the big names on this defense, it's going to improve us in the long run. And I want to put up a graphic on the screen really quick. We have $120 million in cap space next year from the releasings Kwesi has made, and some of that's going to go to the extensions of T.J. Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson. Obviously, he's probably going to get around $30 million a year quarterback money, because he has the impact of a quarterback for our team. But we got to realize that it's not all going to happen in one offseason, and there's going to be building blocks for the future. So I'm going to start on Byron Murphy. I really believe that Byron Murphy is an excellent signing for the Minnesota Vikings. He is a whole heck of a lot cheaper than Patrick Peterson would have been. And he has been signed to a 2-year, $22 million deal per rap sheet. He's only 25, so his young age is a huge upside for the Vikings. Has great speed, as you can see in this clip right here. He has great speed. He's a ball hawk. He has great coverage. I really think this is a great overall move by Kwesi and the Minnesota Vikings for an office to bring in a stud cornerback with proven talent who they can even develop further and make him possibly a top 10, top 5 cornerback in the league in the next couple of years. So I think this is a great move by the Vikings. It saves a lot of cap space. It's better value. We would have been getting Patrick Peterson for the same price. I wish we could have kept him around, because he did love being a Minnesota Viking, but overall, this is a great move by them. The Minnesota Vikings signed Marcus Davenport to a 1-year deal, essentially a 1-year, quote-unquote, prove-it deal. Davenport is turning 27 by next football season. He is a young edge rusher that was drafted by the Saints. Kwesi signed him to a 1-year deal because, well, we gotta see what he's made of. Like, he only racked up half a sack last year because of injuries, but the year prior in 2021, he had 9.5 sacks. So he's shown flashes at the NFL level, and we gotta see if he can become consistent under the Vikings. If he can, then we'll give him a bigger contract. But overall, this is a good move by the Vikings. If he turns out to be a dud, you only had him for 1 year and a pretty cheap deal. Great move by the Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings just signed tight end Josh Oliver to a 3-year, $21 million deal with $13 million guaranteed in that deal. I really like this move by Kwesi Adofo-Mensah because it really does elevate this run game that was pretty weak last year, and you get a great red zone threat, great blocking. He has pretty good speed, big body tight end. I mean, to be all honest, last year, we did not have a dominant run game, and in the playoffs, you do need a dominant run game. By basically adding essentially extra linemen to this offensive line can really help improve that run game. And Oliver has pretty good hands too. It's not like he can't catch the football, unlike Irv Smith. So I'd be expecting to see an Irv Smith release pretty soon. Josh Oliver has great hands, great hands, and Irv Smith, matter of fact, does not. And Irv Smith cannot block on the level of this. So I'd expect to see an Irv Smith release here in the next couple of days. Oliver was a great pickup, I believe. A lot of people were down on this move to get an extra 10 man. Like, oh, we have TJ Hawkinson. Hawkinson can't block the best, and by bringing in an elite blocking tight end, our team can make a huge jump in 2023-2024 NFL season. That pretty much covers all of the signings of the Minnesota Vikings, and now let's get to the releasings. Last week, the Vikings released wide receiver Adam Thielen, and that was a big hit to me, as I've always been an Adam Thielen fan. I really loved him. He is a Minnesota guy. I really hope he can do well elsewhere, but that, in all reality, it frees up a nice amount of cap space, and we needed that cap space to be freed up. Another sad releasing was the releasing of linebacker Eric Kendricks, who's been a leader for the young linebackers, a leader for this young defense. Back in the day, he really was a key part in our playoff push back in 2017, and it's going to be sad to see him go, but I hope he does well on the Chargers. Another player we let go was Cameron Dantzler. He was drafted by the old regime, and he never really proved anything. He was looking good at the beginning of the season, but he got hurt, and then he was a liability. We were having third, fourth stringers, practice squad players like Caleb Evans, who was playing better than him, and he was just a liability on that field and not fit our new scheme, our new regime, so I think it was a smart move to get rid of him. Now, I know y'all are going to be saying, well, why are we getting rid of these players? Like, we had the 31st worst defense last year, and most of that was due to the scheme Ed Donatell was running, but we still got to take care of that and remove players from the worst defense last year. So by getting rid of them, we free up a ton of cap space, and we have $120 million in cap space for next year to go into the free agency, which will probably be more around like $60 million after all the contract re-signings, to be able to use to further instill a better defensive system. Kwesi is not going to be huge on drafting long-term projects, as he said in the press conference, if he gets fired in 4 years for doing his job, he's not going to care if somebody pans out after he's done in that regime. He wants to win right now, and he won't be able to win right now with those pieces, so that's why he's removing him. Another big releasing by the Vikings was the releasing of, potential releasing of Harrison Smith, but they are working out a deal for Harrison Smith to take a pay cut. But I don't know if Harrison Smith will take that pay cut, so that's why I said potentially releasing of Harrison Smith. And that one would really hit home, because Hitman Harry is one of my favorite Vikings players. He has been for a long time, and it'd be terribly, terribly sad to see him go. Now, let's get to the re-signings. The Vikings re-signed backup quarterback Nick Mullins, who is underratedly one of the better backups in the league. I don't remember the exact details of the re-signing, but it was a pretty good re-signing. They also re-signed Greg the Leg Joseph, who I think that is a great move for them to make. As a matter of fact, we have had some question marks at kicker for the past couple of years, and you'll re-sign Greg Joseph to a 1-year fully guaranteed deal, so he'll turn 30 at the end of the time. At the end of the time of his days in Minnesota after that contract, it's a great move overall. And then one of my favorite moves we made is re-signing Garrett Bradbury to a 3-year deal worth $15.75 million, per Adam Rapshi, and that is really, really going to be huge because Garrett Bradbury is a stud, in my opinion. And if we weren't going to resign him, I would have suggested we draft John Michael Schmitz from Minnesota in the NFL upcoming draft, which I don't think we will now after the re-signing of Garrett Bradbury, which is overall a huge, huge move for us to do. Another huge move the Vikings have made is restructuring, doing a cap conversion on quarterback Kirk Cousins' contract, creating additional salary cap room, which we can use to re-sign players like maybe Darius Slay to a 1-year deal. This move will save $16 million in salary cap for 2023 season per Ben Gozersling. Minnesota is spreading the cap hit out to $8 million this season, and each of the next two he will have $28.5 million in dead cap if his contract voids in 2024 per Matt Fries. Cousin has 2 void years left on his contract deal, but the Vikings bonus conversion will push money from this year's cap into those void years. So essentially, we are putting off the big hit from Kirk Cousins' contract until we'll have more salary cap in the future, because we'll potentially have $120 million in cap space next year, as I've said multiple times in this video. So we can take more of a hit next year than have us take a big hit this year, pretty much to simplify that. We also signed All-Pro long snapper Andrew DePaula to a 3-year, $4.025 million deal that includes $2.256 million guaranteed and the largest guarantee given to a long snapper per Adam Schefter. That's not really a big move, just want to toss that one in. But another thing to cover, I know I might be talking a lot here, but I think it's important. The Vikings have shown interest in trading Dalvin Cook, and one of the front runners is Miami, which they have voided their first-round pick this year due to tampering. But I don't think Dalvin Cook would have been worth a first-round pick anyway. If Christian McCaffrey wasn't worth a first-round pick, Cook will not. I think we might be able to get a 3rd or 4th-round pick for the aging running back of Dalvin Cook with shoulder issues and injury issues. I think he might be worth a solid 4th-round pick. So that covers everything in this video. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. I'm trying to bring the best content to you. Have a blessed day, y'all. See ya. Bye.